Hi, my name's Emily. I'm the kitchen manager here at Heart, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about cooking with green papaya. So, in the kitchen, green papaya is very similar to something like squash or cabbage. Texture-wise, it's very similar to squash, but it holds its shape more when it's cooked. It has a more texture to it, similar to a cabbage. It's bulkier than squash after it's been cooked. So it's kind of like a hybrid between the two. Nutritionally, it's really good. It has an enzyme in it called Papaya that is really good for your digestion. It is found in meat tenderizers because it's so good at breaking down proteins. It's high in vitamin C, potassium, folate. It's just a really good vegetable to incorporate into your diet. It's good for your skin. It's good for your heart health. Now, a little word of caution about green papaya that I do need to throw in here is that the skin does have latex in it. So if you are allergic to latex, you should be cautious about prepping or consuming green papaya. Now, I have a friend who has a latex allergy. She can eat it, but when she processes it, she has to wear gloves because she gets a rash on her hands. Whereas when I work with it, I don't have any issues. So it's just something to keep in mind and be cautious about if you have a latex allergy. Another word of caution is that the latex can stimulate uterine contractions, which could be dangerous if you are pregnant. So you should definitely be cautious about consuming green papaya if you are pregnant. So just have to throw those things out there. Now, growing green papaya, or papaya in general, growing papaya in Central Florida it's amazing. I mean, you can start a seed and 9 months later get ripe fruit, and it's even earlier than 9 months that you're getting green papaya for cooking with in the kitchen. So, and if you compare the work that you put in to grow green papaya, the work in the soil inputs and the weeding and the spraying that you have to do to grow something like squash or zucchini, in comparison to green papaya, you get a much higher yield for your labor with green papaya. And to me, I would be happy with green papaya forever. I'd be okay with not having squash. That's how much I like it. I would be totally happy if someone said you can never have squash again and you can only have green papaya. With that said, you have to know how to cook it. So let's see. So green papaya, I have a lot of different fruits here at all different stages, from completely green all the way to completely ripe. You can see this one's really orange. This is like perfect for eating as a fresh fruit. And you can see the dramatic difference in color. And then these ones here have varying levels of yellow on them. So this fruit here was a fruit that I picked from the very top of the tree. Now, I'm assuming that when I cut into this, it's going to be, completely green, or almost white. So this is, there are different stages of unripe papaya. This is the least ripe stage. This is green papaya, and it, flavor-wise, it doesn't really have much sweetness. It's not super flavorful. It really is good at absorbing any flavors that you're cooking it with. So let's move on to the next stage. This one might look about the same. Might have, oh no, this one's got some pink. So on the outside, they both look pretty green. But this one, I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I'm not sure if the camera picks it up, but there's a little bit of color on this one over here, on this one. So on the outside, they look almost the same. On the inside, they look pretty different. This one has a lot more green and pink hues to it. And it's going to taste a lot sweeter. It's going to taste a lot better raw as a salad or something like that, because it's going to have some sweetness. It's going to have a little more flavor to it. Now this one here, I'm going to cut into it. I'm expecting it to be too ripe to be eaten as a green papaya, but not really ripe enough to be eaten as a sweet fruit. You actually probably could cook with this one. I'm not sure. How's the camera picking up the color on that?
It's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, you can see this one is a little pinker. This one you can see it's a lot more yellow. And it's got really no green to it at all on the inside. It's a lot pinker. And then why not just cut into this one so you can see this too. Oh, this is an orange one. So this one's not, I was expecting it to be vibrant red, but this is actually an orange variety of papaya. So it's not as, it doesn't contrast these as well as I thought it could. But, so, like I said, we have different stages of unripe papaya. Green papaya that has no color to it. Makes a really nice, very finely shredded, fresh salad. It's great cooked. You can dice it and toss it into any sort of stir fry or casserole, curry, anything like that. Anything that you would kind of cook a carrot in, or cabbage or squash, you can add this to it. It takes a long time to cook. More about the time that it would take to cook a carrot versus a squash, because it's so much firmer. And the riper the fruit gets, the less time it takes for it to cook, and the softer texture you're going to get with it raw. So if I'm eating it raw, I really prefer it to have at least a little bit of color to it. Now I have a lot of equipment over here. I'm going to talk to you guys about the equipment that I use to work with green papaya. Things that you should have at least some of these things in your home, and if you don't, they're all fairly inexpensive things. First of all, peeling. They peel pretty nice with just a standard vegetable peeler, if you prefer to peel with a vegetable peeler. I prefer to peel with a knife, so I like to use a really big knife like this. If you peel things with a paring knife, like you might peel potatoes or something, it's really firm, and so it can be kind of hard on your wrist. So I don't really prefer to peel it that way. I've taught a lot of our students about cooking with green papaya, and I always throw that out as an option because some people prefer to try it out that way because that's how they like to peel things. And people usually end up switching to either a peeler or peeling it with a knife. So if I'm going to peel it with a knife, I cut off the top and bottom. I've already done that, and I stand it up so that it's really easy to work with. It's hard to work with round things because they roll around on your cutting board, but if you cut a flat surface on things so that they stand up, not just with green papaya, but with all sorts of vegetables. If you do a flat cut, it makes processing vegetables a lot easier because they're more stable. So I just take my knife and I just shave it like this. So this is how I prefer to peel green papaya. And it might take a little bit of practice. You might feel like at first you're wasting a lot of the fruit. You might feel like, oh, the peeler is way more efficient. If you're not super great with a big knife like this, it might feel like the peeler is more efficient, but I find that this is a lot quicker, and we are not lacking in green papaya. It's so abundant. The one tree just produces so much fruit that I might lose a couple bites of food peeling it this way. And I'm not concerned about that because the easier things are, the more likely I am to cook with it. If peeling papaya takes me twice as long with a peeler, and I have to use a peeler, I'm less likely to cook with it because I value my time. So I'm all about doing things efficiently, and I just don't really care that I wasted a tiny bit of the flesh of this fruit. From there, we slice it in half, and you can use your hands or just a spoon, and you scrape out the seeds. I'll show you this one. So this papaya over on this side, this is the green one. Where the light's best. This is the green one, and you can't see any seeds in there. There are little white seeds. You can't really see them. This one has mature black seeds in it. And even though the seeds are more mature, it doesn't mean that the flesh can't be eaten as a green papaya. So I'm just gonna scrape out the seeds. These are great. Seeds are great to feed to your chickens. If you have chickens, of course, or to consume yourself. They have anti-parasitic qualities to them. So I know of people who've lived internationally and took a few spoonfuls like every month or every couple weeks or something like that to help make sure that they didn't have parasites. I've known of people who dehydrate the seeds. They taste something like peppercorns, a little different, but something like peppercorns. And so some people dehydrate them and put them in a pepper grinder. So that's something that you can do with the seeds as well. So from here, I have a couple options, and I have several different tools here that I use to shred my papaya. So you can just slice it up and just dice it. You end up with just diced fruit that you can, this would be good in a stir fry, or I don't know, can you see?
Huh. It's so white, it's hard to see it.
So that would be good in a stir fry or a casserole, anything like that. Curries, I like to dice them really small so that they cook faster. That's just the way I like to do things. That's kind of the easiest, you know, no equipment but a knife needed technique. Now, if I'm in a hurry and I'm making a curry or a stir fry or something, my go-to method is this little contraption right here. So this is a rotary grater. It's similar to a box grater. It works the same way, has the same shredders on it, but they're on these cones. And I can cut a sliver of green papaya and shred it. And that was so quick. It's a really nice consistency, really nice texture for cooked papaya. There's also the option, if you don't have a rotary grater, of grating it by hand with a box grater. This gives you a slightly finer texture, which if I'm eating it fresh, I prefer. I like a finer texture for fresh papaya. So I don't know how well the camera picks that up, but this is, to me, if I'm eating it fresh, I want this texture. So if I want it cooked, I want it coarser. And then the third option that we have for grating is an attachment to a food processor, a grater attachment. The food processor broke, but I still have this attachment to show you. So if you have a food processor with one of these attachments, you know what this is. But it's an attachment for a food processor that you feed the food in, and it spins and it shreds your papaya for you. It's super quick, super efficient. It's a really great way to process papaya quickly. And then the final way that I have, the final piece of equipment that I use to process green papaya is this nifty little contraption here. It looks, on the camera, it looks like a peeler, just like a normal vegetable peeler. Let's see if the camera can, let's see. Yeah, you can see the difference. So, this one here has kind of teeth on it. So when I shred, it looks like it's shredding into just solid chunks, but then when I take these chunks, it turns into noodles. So you have zucchini noodles with a shredder. This method takes a lot longer than a rotary grater or a box grater. But if you're wanting a zoodle kind of thing, a low-carb noodle, a vegetable noodle, this is really a great thing. So I bought this at Walmart. You can buy a 3-pack of these shredders, 2 regular shredders and this noodle shredder at Walmart. So, I mean, you probably can buy them on Amazon. You probably can buy them at Asian markets. That's where I first learned about these. Was I was at Mustang Market, which isn't open anymore, but it was a market in St. Pete, and there was a Thai, I think, food vendor, and she sold green papaya salad, and there was someone in the back just shredding papaya like this into a big bin. She was just like that. So that's a really great option for processing your green papaya. Now, once you have your papaya processed, you can cook it. If you had a freeze coming and you had a ton of green papaya on your tree, you could shred all of your papaya like this. I don't blanch it. I don't process it at all, other than getting it to this stage, and I put it in freezer bags and I put it in the freezer. It's one of the easiest things to pull out of the freezer and to have if I'm ever making stir fries or curries and I don't have enough. I'm worried I don't have enough food, but I don't have time to go out and harvest a green papaya or prep more vegetables or something. I can pull it out of the freezer and toss it in. If I have a half hour to bake a meal, I can whip up some peanut butter sauce and make like a pad thai style stir fry with green papaya over rice. Really, really easy. Really great vegetable to have on hand. I haven't tried dehydrating it. It might be nice that way. So let's see. So I'm going to show you guys how I make green papaya salad. Let me grab a bowl. This, I think, is a really good starter recipe because there's no cooking involved. You can just use ingredients that you have. You can just look up an easy dressing recipe online. You can buy a store-bought dressing. I'm going to take all of these noodles that I have shredded here and just put them in this bowl. And here's kind of the baseline, most simple version of a green papaya salad that I make. It can get a lot more elaborate. It's by no means traditional to any particular country that eats a lot of green papaya, but this is how I do it, and I don't measure things. That's how I cook. But I just do a little bit of stir fry, or a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of fish sauce. Fish sauce doesn't smell good, but a tiny bit of fish sauce in food makes a big difference. A little bit of sesame oil. A squirt of sriracha. You could dice up a spicy pepper if you have it. You could use chili oil. Chili oil is really good. Sometimes I get that from the Asian market. And here I have some homemade mango vinegar, but it needs a little bit of acidity. So you could use any sort of fruit vinegar. I think works really well. Rice vinegar I use sometimes. Lime juice, lemon juice. If you have an orange tree, you can use a little bit of orange juice, especially a little bit of an unripe orange, or if you have a sour orange, maybe your grafted tree, the graft died, but you have lots of sour oranges. Those work really well. So just tiny splash. I've got some green beans here. These are really nice, and that really nice addition. I'm just gonna snap them real quick, put them in there. And then I've got some fresh homegrown ginger. Just gonna grate a little bit into there. I really like ginger. And a little bit of garlic. Should peel this first. I'm not even going to use this whole clove because fresh garlic is really potent. So I don't have a spoon on me, so I'm going to use my hand. And you just kind of massage it. If you massage it a little bit, it'll really soak up the flavors really well. It's really nice if you let it sit for a few hours to marinate. Those green beans in there will soften up. You could add fresh tomatoes, any herbs, cilantro, Thai basil. Those are the 2 herbs that I like to add. There's also, I mean, you just experiment, and it's good. That's a little too spicy for me. But it's great. It's that simple. If you've never cooked with green papaya, I think that that's a really great starting point. Just because, I mean, you saw that just took me less than 2 minutes, probably. So it's really quick and easy. You can make a really small amount. And it's easy to make adjustments too if you don't like it. Now, say I made this green papaya salad. I didn't eat it all. Put it in the fridge. Tomorrow, I decide I want stir fry. I can just take that salad and throw it on the stove. I can crack an egg in there for a little protein, sprinkle on some peanuts, or put in a spoonful of peanut butter, and now I have a stir fry. It's really simple, really versatile. These, how I diced it earlier, you just dice it and toss it into a curry, toss it into a stir fry, toss it into your soups. It's so simple. You can go online. You can find a lot of good recipes online. And that's, if you love trying to cook new foods, then you should totally do that. Get online, type in green papaya recipes, and you will get a big long list of all these things that you can do with green papaya. If you're someone that learning new foods, to cook new foods can be a little bit overwhelming, rather than trying to acclimate yourself to a new dish, rather than being worried that you're going to put in all of this work into a meal that you're not gonna, that you might not like because you've never had it before. You've never had this dish. You don't know if you're gonna like it. Just try adding a little bit of green papaya to a dish that you already cook. If you make some sort of casserole that has carrots in it, just dice up some or shred up some green papaya and add just a little bit, maybe half carrots, half green papaya. Same thing with cabbage, same thing with squash. Just because there's not a recipe for it on the internet doesn't mean that you can't do it. That's how I learned to cook with green papaya, was just experimentation. And there were times where my husband, Josh, he would say, oh, you should try doing this with green papaya. And I was just like, that's not going to taste good. I'm not doing that. And finally, he kept telling me, you should try this, or he would go try it, and it would turn out really good. Same thing, I've gotten a lot of inspiration just from the students that we work with, just brainstorming and trying new things. One of our students made papaya salsa with fresh papaya, not with green papaya, but she's like, oh, you can make mango salsa, so why can't you make papaya salsa? And she made like a pico de gallo with ripe papaya instead of tomatoes, and it turned out amazing. So just don't be afraid to experiment. It's a really abundant food if you're growing it. It's not a precious, I mean, it's a great food. You don't want to waste food, of course, but there's just so much of it if you put in a little effort to grow it. So there's an abundance to experiment with. So don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. Yeah, I just remembered I forgot to talk to you guys about carrot stick stage. So I'm going to show you real quick. You can take papaya at this stage where it has some color, slippery, where it has some color to it, and slice it up like this. And now you have carrot sticks. You can give these to your kids, dip them in ranch dressing. We have 4 children here right now. None of them like papaya at every stage, but all of them like papaya at some stage. So some only like it cooked. One of them, he comes in here almost every day, and he cuts up a papaya at this stage. He loves carrot stick papaya. And some of them only like it ripe. But I mean, it's a pretty easy to enjoy food. It's not really a flavor that is so unfamiliar that you have to really try hard to acclimate your palate to it. It's especially green. A lot of people don't like red papaya. But if you don't like red papaya, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't give green papaya a try. Grow one tree, give it a try. It's a totally different thing than red papaya. So have fun experimenting with it. If you have any questions, put them in the comment box, or the question box, the Q&A box, and do a Q&A. So, thank you.